Hey guys, it's me, Pinky of Pinky Knows Naples, and this is my lovely new friend, Shauna Fleming.
Hello.
And I'm hopping on today because I'm actually changing hats today. I'm actually putting on more of my journalism hat because I really feel like there is something to be talked about and to be understood, because I think there is a lot of misconceptions. There's a lack of knowledge out there. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about sinkholes. And, in my background as a journalist, I get really, and this is what we were talking about, I really get that when you see a sinkhole, especially the one that's going on a little further south from where we are in Pasco County, when you see a sinkhole on TV visually, oh my gosh.
It's scary. It's
the
terrifying.
news organizations are like, oh my gosh, this is good stuff because it's so visual. And I understand that, having my background in journalism. But the thing is it's like, okay, there is more to it than just a giant hole in the ground. What happens to the neighborhood that surrounds it? What happens to the neighbor next door? So there's a lot of things that people don't understand about sinkholes, because just because it's on TV one day doesn't mean it's gone the next day.
Right.
And there's a long-term effect. And we are in an area up here, I say we, because I'm not in Naples right now, guys. I'm up in Brooksville. And Brooksville, Pasco is considered what? The sinkhole
capital of the state. So,
Sinkhole capital of the state right there. And Shauna works for a company called LRE Ground Services. And what is it that you guys do here?
We're a foundation contractor, so we repair sinkholes. We also do any type of foundation work. So we've been in business since 1989. Been doing this kind of work for a very long time. So know a lot about it, about what's going on and things like that.
So for the people that are like, what in the world is a sinkhole? Because I got people up in Canada following me, people everywhere. What is a sinkhole?
Basically, a sinkhole is a void in the earth where you have loose sands and soils. And we have very porous limestone here, which cavities all over in the limestone. So the loose sands and soils it's kind of like an hourglass effect where it's just seeping into the limestone and it's causing this void in the earth.
To come down.
Yep.
And so you could have lived here for 25 years, never had an issue.
Correct.
And then boom, one day, big rain, and it just goes
Anything,
in.
yep.
Anything could cause it.
Yeah.
Just like, let me just point this out to everybody that's out there that's like, I wouldn't move to Florida because of a sinkhole. Well, that's like saying like you wouldn't move here because we have hurricanes, because that's, you wouldn't go to California because they got earthquakes, and you wouldn't go to Kansas because, Dorothy's there with her tornado. And I say that jokingly, but I mean, every place has an issue. And I think this is something that we don't really talk about because it's, in essence, a dirty word. Like, I don't want to know what a sinkhole is. I'm just going to put my head literally in the ground and I'm going to ignore it.
Right.
Well, okay, so now we've established what a sinkhole is.
Yes.
What can you do to fix a sinkhole? Can you fix a sinkhole? Will it always be fixed?
You can fix a sinkhole. Ultimately, it's a method called compaction grout. And what we do is we have large steel casing that we put into the ground in sections. And we pump grout into the ground at a high pressure, which caps off the limestone, fills all the voids, compacts the soils. So essentially, your structure is sitting on a whole bed of concrete by the time we're done with the process.
Okay.
So.
Now, what happened further south had to do with underpinning, and
Yes.
so we were having a little discussion about that, because you do underpinning as well.
We do.
But you do it in conjunction with.
Correct. Sometimes that is something that the engineer will recommend. We also do underpinning for just like settling issues and things like that. If an engineer comes in and you have like one side of the house that's just kind of settled a little bit further, you can use underpinning to just kind of lift it back, or to even just stabilize the surface or the foundation. But as far as just underpinning a house, that is not a true method for repairing a sinkhole. You're essentially just putting your house on stilts, but you still, if you do not grout the underlying issue, you're still going to have a whole void underneath your surface. So if something happens to those stilts per se, or the limestone cracks or breaks, or anything, you're going to have.
You're back into the hourglass.
You're back into the hourglass, and you're going to have what happened over at Land O'Lakes, unfortunately.
Okay, so when somebody feels like they might have a sinkhole, what are some symptoms that a house might indicate that there's potentially a sinkhole?
Now, typical houses have settling. You're going to have minor cracks and things like that. But any larger cracks in the foundation, the ceilings, the walls, stair-step cracking on the outside in the bricks.
Stair-step cracking, guys. So stair-step cracking is something to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have depressions in the yard, or tiles that are popping, maybe doors and windows that are sticking or not opening or shutting properly. Those are definitely signs. The larger the cracks, the more concern you're going to see for it possibly being a sinkhole. Ultimately, we are not the engineer. The engineer, you'd have to have an engineer come out and test the soils to tell you whether or not there's sinkhole activity. But we will come in and do the repair that the engineer recommends at that point. So.
Now, we were talking before we went on camera, and I was saying to you that, like, you know, I get a lot, as a real estate agent in Florida, I get a lot of inquiries about having, because I used to work this area, right. And I would get, you know, I still get lots of inquiries from people. I'm buying a repaired sinkhole home. What should I know? So what would you say somebody should know if they are going to buy a repaired sinkhole home?
Just be educated. Make sure you do your homework as far as the contractor that repaired the home. Make sure you see the report from the engineer.
And it should be a pretty deep report.
It should be a deep report. And if you don't know how to read it, find someone who does, or at least can tell you what the repair was that was done, and if the contractor repaired it according to the engineer's recommendations. Ultimately, you just want to make sure that it was done properly. It was grouted. I personally had a sinkhole at an old residence, and I would not have a problem buying a repaired sinkhole home now, knowing that it had been repaired by a reputable contractor and was done according to the
just like anything else, research your company,
Absolutely.
Make sure that they have a good reputation,
Yep.
Talk to people that
Talk
know.
to the experts, make sure you vet the experts, make sure that they know exactly what they're talking about.
And a lot of times people, there was a timeline there where people got the sinkhole repaired, but they didn't repair the pop tile, the windows, things
Correct.
of that nature. So you also want to do your due diligence and make sure that you're asking about those things. Where's the repair list? Show
Absolutely.
me what was done.
Absolutely.
You know, interior as well as what is
Yep,
underneath of it. Cosmetic, that we're getting the cosmetic. We want to make sure that cosmetically it was taken care of as well.
Yeah.
Now, what about, is there a warranty involved in any of the work that's done? Is that something that we should be asking about?
Yeah, ultimately, most reputable contractors will warranty their work. We cannot warranty acts of God, Mother Nature. Obviously, it is possible for a sinkhole to reopen up even after a repair has been done. However, it's extremely rare.
Did you hear that, guys? It's extremely
rare. LRE has completed over 7,000 projects, and I cannot recall a single incident where we ever had to go back and repair a sinkhole again on top of a repair that we had already done.
Okay.
Never. So it's not common at all. Okay. Yes, this happened in Land O'Lakes, that it was supposedly a repaired sinkhole. That was not a repaired sinkhole. So that's the only reason, you know, there's kind of the difference there. Why they had to go back and redo that one or whatnot.
Now, with the warranty that we were talking about, would it go to the new homeowner, or does it stay with just the one that had it fixed initially?
It really depends on
the contractor. So that's something that you want to talk about and ask.
Absolutely.
Homeowners insurance. What should people know about repaired sinkholes and homeowners insurance?
Well, as long as like I said, as long as it was repaired by the engineer's recommendation, it should not be a problem. You should be able to get full coverage on your insurance again. You should be able to get,
as long as you have the documents.
And it was repaired properly, and you grouted the sinkhole, and you know what I mean, all of that should not be a problem. If you do not have, if the sinkhole was not repaired, you will not be able to get insurance coverage.
Right, and that's something that also in the housing market that we talk about is unrepaired sinkholes, and that's completely different than a repaired sinkhole in the sense that it's not, no work has been done. So when it comes to getting a mortgage to buy the house, you're not going to be able to do that. So you guys need to be aware of that. You're not going to, you have to go cash.
Yes.
And what do we say? What were you saying? It's 30 cents on the dollar?
30 to 50 cents on the dollar is what you're going to
So that's like half to 60% of what your value in your home is if it is unrepaired. So yeah, because there was a big time frame here, especially in Hernando, where the insurance companies were paying out, people took the money and they didn't fix anything.
Right.
And so those homes are still floating around out there. Yeah. And what does it take now to repair a sinkhole? So if that house, you know, in Spring Hill didn't get that fix done, and they say, okay, now I want to go sell it, how much does it cost? How much is it going to cost them?
Your repair is going to cost you anywhere from $50,000 to $200,000 or more.
So it can well exceed even the cost of the home itself.
Absolutely.
So yeah, but should people be like petrified and scared of hearing the word sinkhole?
No, I think, again, it just goes back to being educated. I don't think the word sinkhole is scary, especially if it has been repaired. If it's been unrepaired, then you have to revisit that, of course. I think people should definitely be more worried about the legislation and with the not being able to get it repaired because of the insurance. And
let's talk a little bit about that, because there is insurance legislation going on, and LRE is actually, Ray, the owner, is very involved in that as well, correct?
Yeah, through FAS 3, which is a company that, it's an organization basically that, now I'm losing my train of thought.
It's okay. For the insurance purposes, the legislation that they go up there.
They just make sure that they're reputable, that they're doing everything they're supposed to do as far as the contractors go. Now, the insurance legislation back in 2011, that changed. All the laws changed with the insurance policies. Before that, you were able to have everything repaired. Now, it's very, very limited. The deductible is about 10%, so a lot of people can't afford the coverage because if it's
a $200,000 repair,
your deductible is
20 grand.
Yep, and they can't afford to pay that. So
right.
Nobody's filing claims the way that they used to. So sinkholes are still out there. They're just not. Nobody's filing a claim or getting
and it's probably too that the people don't realize that they should be petitioning to the legislation to talk to them, especially the people in our area here in Hernando, Pasco. I know you guys are very active, but
one extreme to the next. So.
I think the consumer the homeowner needs to be involved. The real estate agents, the mortgage companies, you need to get involved and say, hey, we need to get educated and we need to do things because this is a issue here in this community. Absolutely. And it needs to be addressed. Yep. All right. Yeah. And if people have questions and they want to know more about LRE and what you guys do here, they can go to your website, which is
www.lregsi.com.
GSI.com.
LRE Ground Services Inc. So
all right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shauna, for joining us. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys got educated today on sinkholes and that you're not going to be as scared. You're going to get yourself educated. And call them if you have any questions about it. And if you have any more questions that you want them to answer, just let me know. Put the comments up below and I'll be more than happy to get it over to them. Thanks, guys, and have a great day.
See you later. Okay.